Do you think you know everything about the Sandlot? Maybe not. Behind what seemed like the purest baseball movie of the summer of 1993 were strange behind-the-scenes truths that many fans never caught, even after watching it again and again. The monster that once terrified American kids was not as scary as it looked on screen, but the way the crew created it was even stranger than the movie's own legend. One scene that made audiences laugh became a real nightmare for the child actors. And strangest of all, one character in the film led to the director being sued by an old childhood friend. So what really happened behind that dusty ball field? And what weird secrets did most The Sandlot fans never figure out? Here are 13 strange facts many fans have missed for over 30 years. Number 1. The Beast was not one dog, but several dogs and a puppet. If you watched The Sandlot as a kid, there's a good chance you really believed there was a monster behind that fence. Not just a regular dog, but something huge and vicious, waiting for the boys to send one wrong ball into its yard so it could swallow every bit of hope they had left. The movie built the Beast like a true neighborhood legend. It didn't even have to show up that much. A growl, a giant shadow behind the fence, or the terrified looks on the kids' faces was enough to make the audience imagine the worst. But the behind-the-scenes truth was very different from what the movie made us believe. The Beast was not one single dog. The crew used several English Mastiffs, including one named Gunner, to create the image of that giant dog in the film. The funny part is that, in real life, those Mastiffs were nothing like the nightmare we saw on screen. They were big and heavy, yes, but they were also pretty gentle, slow-moving, and not always willing to perform on command. In simple terms, Hollywood needed a monster, but its four-legged actors mostly wanted to lie around, pant, and wait for treats. So the fear we see in the movie was really the result of a lot of clever tricks. The crew used low camera angles to make the dog look bigger, fences, shadows, and sound effects to hide how gentle it really was, and quick cuts to make everything feel more dangerous. The scenes where the Beast smashes through the fence, bursts through boards, or seems completely out of control required a giant animatronic puppet. Even the paw holding Babe Ruth's baseball was a prop, because the real dog's paw just wasn't dramatic enough for that moment. And that's what makes the Beast so interesting. The audience is led to fear it for most of the movie, only to finally realize that the monster is really just a huge, lonely dog that was misunderstood all along. Behind the childhood nightmare of an entire generation wasn't a real vicious beast, but a few gentle mastiffs, a mechanical puppet, some smart camera work, and one very clever movie trick. Number 2. You're Killing Me, Smalls, was never supposed to be that famous. If there is one line that pushed The Sandlot beyond just being a childhood baseball movie, it has to be, "You're killing me, Smalls." Even people who do not remember every scene from the film may still know that quote. It shows up on t-shirts, memes, social media posts, and has become the kind of phrase people use whenever someone asks something unbelievably clueless. But the funny thing is, the most famous line in The Sandlot was not originally written the way audiences have remembered it for more than 30 years. In the original script, the line was simply, "Smalls, you're killing me." Same meaning, but it sounded more like a regular complaint than a funny little explosion. Then came the scene where Ham Porter explains s'mores to Smalls, and everything changed. When Smalls innocently asks, "S'more what?" Patrick Renna did not just deliver the line as written. He reacted exactly the way Ham would, frustrated, stunned, but still hilarious. And that is when the line came out as, "You're killing me, Smalls." Just flipping the words around gave the line a completely different rhythm. "Smalls, you're killing me" sounds like a complaint. But "you're killing me, Smalls" feels like a real reaction, like a kid who cannot believe his friend has somehow never heard of the most basic summer snack. It does not feel calculated to become a classic line, and that is exactly why it stuck. The strange part is that no one knew at the time how far that line would go. It was not a catchphrase pushed hard by the studio. It was just a small moment in a very ordinary scene. But after the movie left theaters, the quote started living a life of its own. From VHS tapes to cable TV, from family living rooms to schoolyards, people kept repeating it until it slowly grew beyond the movie. And that is what made it legendary. No big dramatic scene, no sweeping music, no one trying too hard to turn it into an icon. Just one kid getting annoyed because his friend was too clueless. Sometimes the moments nobody plans are the ones audiences remember the longest. Number 3. The director got sued by his own childhood friend. At first glance, The Sandlot feels like a movie built from beautiful childhood memories. But one of those memories caused real-life trouble, to the point where director David Mickey Evans was pulled into a lawsuit by an old childhood friend. After the movie came out, Michael Polidoros, who had known Evans when they were kids, claimed that the character Michael Squints Polidoros was inspired by him. And he did not see it as some sweet little tribute. Instead, Polidoros sued 20th Century Fox, arguing that the way Squints was portrayed in the film embarrassed him, defamed him, and turned him into a public joke. What makes the story even stranger is that Squints is one of the most beloved characters in the movie. To audiences, the thick glasses-wearing, clever little kid who pretended to drown just so Wendy Peppercorn would give him mouth-to-mouth was one of the funniest parts of The Sandlot. But to the person who believed he was the real-life inspiration, that detail did not feel cute anymore. It felt like a piece of his childhood had been taken, blown up on the big screen, and turned into something millions of people could laugh at. The lawsuit eventually reached the California Court of Appeal, and Fox ultimately won. But the fact that a childhood movie sparked a real legal fight is enough to make this detail unforgettable. The Sandlot did not just borrow the feeling of being a kid. It seemed to borrow pieces of real life so specific that someone could look at the screen and say, "Wait a minute, that's me." Hard to believe, right? A character who seemed like he was only there to make people laugh ended up becoming the reason this innocent little movie got dragged into court. Number 4. The carnival vomit scene was real misery disguised as comedy in The Sandlot. The scene where the boys try chewing tobacco and then climb onto the spinning carnival ride is one of the grossest and funniest moments in the movie. To the audience, it feels like classic childhood mischief. A bunch of kids trying to act grown up, only to pay for it almost immediately. But behind the camera, that discomfort was not just acting. What the young cast had to keep in their mouths was not real chewing tobacco. It was a fake mixture made from black licorice and bacon bits. That already sounds wrong, but for kids who had to hold it in their mouths while filming, it was even worse. Some of the actors even felt nauseous before the main part of the scene really began. And that was only the beginning. After that, they had to get on the tilt-a-whirl and shoot the scene over and over to capture enough angles. Their bodies already felt awful. Their mouths still had that strange taste, and then they were spun around again and again under the lights and cameras. So those pale faces, those collapsing expressions, and that feeling of "I'm about to lose it" were not entirely fake. To finish the group vomit moment, the crew also used fake vomit made from oatmeal, split pea soup, baked beans, and movie gel. It was thick, warm, and disturbingly realistic. The scene made audiences laugh because it was so chaotic, but for the child actors, it was almost like a survival challenge on set. One of the most memorable comedy scenes in The Sandlot turned out to be built from bad smells, real nausea, and a whole lot of uncomfortable takes. Number 5. The Sandlot lost to Jurassic Park, but won the next 30 years. When The Sandlot came out in 1993, it did not enter theaters like a movie that was going to shake Hollywood. It was just a small story about a few kids, an old ball field, a sunny summer, and the kind of mischief anyone who grew up in a quiet neighborhood could recognize. But unfortunately for it, that same summer had another monster swallowing up all the attention: Jurassic Park. While audiences were lining up to watch dinosaurs come back to life on the big screen, The Sandlot quietly made its way through theaters with decent numbers, but not enough noise for Hollywood to treat it like a phenomenon. No one really thought this would be the movie people would still talk about for decades. It did not feel like a blockbuster. It did not have a box office frenzy. It did not look like a legacy being born. But The Sandlot did not disappear. It was just waiting for the right place to be loved. Once it showed up on VHS, then played over and over on cable TV, it started slipping into living rooms, summer afternoons, and after-school hangouts. People did not watch it once and forget it. They rented it again, rewound it, memorized the lines, and started using those quotes in real life. And just like that, a movie once overshadowed by the summer of Jurassic Park quietly grew inside the audience's memory. Jurassic Park won 1993, no one can deny that. But The Sandlot won in a different way, not through the roar of the box office, but through familiarity. It became the kind of movie people do not just remember watching, they remember growing up with it. Number 6. A major storyline was cut and nobody knows what it was. One of the most intriguing secrets about The Sandlot is not something audiences saw on screen. It is something that disappeared from the movie. Director David Mickey Evans once revealed that The Sandlot originally had a much bigger storyline, one that had actually been filmed, but was eventually cut completely from the final version. The strange part is that he never explained exactly who that storyline was about, what happened in it, or how it would have changed the movie. And that silence makes the detail even more fascinating. For a film that became a childhood memory for millions of people, just knowing there was a missing piece of the story is enough to make fans wonder, what did we never get to see? From what has been said, the storyline was removed after test screenings, when audience reactions showed that the movie worked better by keeping things simpler. And honestly, that makes sense. The Sandlot did not need a lot of side plots to be memorable. Its charm came from how clean and pure it felt. A group of kids, a dusty ball field, one summer, a Babe Ruth baseball, and the fear waiting behind the fence. If that deleted storyline had stayed in the movie, The Sandlot might have become a very different film, more crowded, heavier, or less natural than the version people fell in love with. But because no one knows exactly what that missing storyline was, it has become one of those strange little Hollywood mysteries. A story was filmed, existed for a while, and then vanished from the official memory of the movie. And sometimes, the things that get cut make people just as curious as the things that remain. Number 7. Benny's older brother played adult Benny and became a real cop. This is a detail many viewers can easily miss because it happens right at the beginning of the movie. In the opening scene, when the grown-up Benny the Jet Rodriguez is playing professional baseball and slides into home plate, the actor playing adult Benny was not just some random guy chosen for the role. It was Pablo Vittar, the real-life older brother of Mike Viter, who played Benny as a kid. That makes the scene feel much more authentic. Viewers see an adult Benny who actually resembles the boy from the past, not just because of good casting or makeup, but because the two actors were real brothers. In a way, they shared the same character on screen, one as the childhood version of Benny, and the other as Benny all grown up. But after The Sandlot, Pablo Vittar did not continue acting. He left the screen and became an officer with the Los Angeles Police Department. Mike Viter also later stepped away from Hollywood and became a firefighter. So behind the legendary role of Benny, there is not just an interesting casting detail, but the real story of two brothers who helped create an iconic character, then walked away from Hollywood to live very different lives. Number 8. Denis Leary was hiding in plain sight. Did you ever realize that Small's stepdad in The Sandlot was actually Denis Leary? For a lot of people, the answer is probably no, because Bill appears so quietly in the movie. He does not come in like a big guest star, and the film never gives him a flashy moment just to make the audience notice him. He is simply the slightly stiff stepfather trying to teach Smalls how to play baseball, but not really knowing how to bring the boy closer to him. What makes the role interesting is how different it was from Denis Leary's image at the time. In the early 1990s, he was known for fast, sharp, sarcastic comedy with a rebellious edge. But in The Sandlot, Leary pulls everything back. Bill is not loud, intense, or trying to be funny in an obvious way. He is just an ordinary man who wants to be a good stepfather, but the harder he tries, the more awkward it feels. Even though Bill does not have much screen time, he is the reason the story takes its biggest turn. The Babe Ruth baseball that Smalls takes out to play with belongs to him, and that is where the whole mess begins. So, Denis Leary was not just a famous face hidden in the movie. He was quietly standing at the starting point of the entire adventure. So subtle that many fans watched The Sandlot over and over without ever realizing it was him. Number 9. Making Smalls look bad. Took real acting skill. Watching Smalls in The Sandlot, it is easy to think Tom Geary only had to act like an awkward kid and that was it. But in reality, making a character look naturally bad at something is much harder than it seems. Smalls could not be clumsy in a cartoonish way or look like he was trying too hard to be funny. He had to feel like a kid who was genuinely out of place, who did not know how to hold a glove, could not throw a ball, and always seemed like he was about to mess up in front of the whole group. What makes the performance work is how real Tom Geary makes Smalls feel. The way he stands, runs, catches, and panics when everyone is watching gives you the sense of a kid stepping into a world where he does not belong yet. And that awkwardness is exactly what makes the moment he is finally accepted by the group feel so memorable. Number 10. Squint's glasses were torture in disguise. Squint's thick glasses are one of the details that made him instantly memorable the first time he appeared on screen. They made him look clever, a little odd, and exactly like the kind of kid who always had some kind of plan in his head. But for Chauncey Lepardi, who played Squints, those glasses were not comfortable at all. In reality, Squint's glasses were fake, non-prescription lenses used mainly to complete the character's look. The problem was that the movie was filmed under the hot Utah sun, so the glasses quickly became a real nuisance. They were hot, stuffy, slid down his nose, fogged up from sweat, and made Lepardi uncomfortable between takes. The funny thing is, the very detail that made Squints stand out on screen was also one of the things that made filming the hardest for the actor in real life. Number 11. The Sandlot field was built from nothing and then erased. The ball field in The Sandlot looked like a place that had been there forever, the kind of dusty neighborhood lot any kid could run to after school. But in reality, it was not an existing baseball field. The crew built the entire thing from scratch on an empty lot in Utah, from the fence, the dirt infield, the bases, and the dugout to the treehouse. The strange part is that after filming wrapped, almost everything was taken down, as if the field had never existed at all. But for the audience, it never really disappeared. Years later, that same spot still became a place the Sandlot fans wanted to visit, even without a full baseball field or any flashy marker. A place built temporarily for a movie ended up living far longer in memory than many real locations. Number 12. The props became real movie artifacts. During the filming of The Sandlot, the bats, baseballs, and gloves were just props for a small movie about childhood. But what made them special was how carefully the crew handled them so everything would feel true to the 1960s setting. The gloves had to look like they had survived many summers, and the bats had to feel old, familiar, and like they truly belonged to the neighborhood kids. After the movie became a phenomenon through VHS and cable TV, those props took on a completely different meaning. They were no longer just objects used on set. They became part of the audience's memory. A bat or a baseball from The Sandlot does not just bring back a scene. It brings back the feeling of a childhood summer that so many people believe they somehow lived through. Number 13. Babe Ruth's ghost. Later became the Tooth Fairy. In The Sandlot, The scene where Smalls dreams about Babe Ruth is one of the moments that suddenly makes the movie feel almost legendary. The man in that baseball uniform was Art LaFleur, the actor who gave Babe Ruth a serious, mysterious, almost mythic presence, even though he had very little screen time. But the funny thing is that years later, that same Art LaFleur became familiar to family audiences in a completely different role: the Tooth Fairy in the Santa Claus 2 and the Santa Claus 3. From a powerful baseball ghost to a funny, strange-looking Tooth Fairy, the contrast makes his performance even more memorable. So the next time you re-watch The Sandlot, remember that Babe Ruth giving Smalls advice in a dream was also the same actor who later became Disney's very unusual Tooth Fairy. If The Sandlot was part of your childhood too, hit like, subscribe, and join us as we keep uncovering the behind-the-scenes secrets that time almost buried.